The house was quiet, not the ordinary silence of a quiet morning. This was a different silence, an empty silence. Jude closed the door behind him and stood in the hallway for a moment. He had just returned from the pub, but the bartender's words were still in his head. There was no one sitting with you. The ticking of the clock in the living room was the only sound that went through the house. He walked slowly inside. The living room looked the same as always. The sofa, the table, the small cabinet by the window. Everything was exactly in its place. And yet, it felt different. Jude walked to the table. The chair stood there, the chair where Sammy always sat. He looked at it for a moment. His hand rested on the backrest. Suddenly he saw it before him again. Sammy sitting on the chair with her knees folded beneath her, her hair constantly falling into her face, and the way she pushed it back with a quick movement. He could almost hear her voice. "Dad, look." She had often made drawings at this table. Houses, trees, little suns in the corner of the paper, and sometimes their family. 3 little figures holding each other's hands. Jude slowly sat down in his own chair. He looked at the empty spot opposite him. For a moment it seemed as if Sammy was still sitting there, as if she were about to tell him something again at any moment. He smiled softly at the thought. Sammy had always had so many questions. Why the sky was blue, why people were sometimes sad, why God could see everything. He never had all the answers, but she always seemed satisfied with what he said. Jude looked at the table and thought of Mary, of the way she had looked at him that evening. Not angry, not harsh, just tired. She had always stood by him, even when he was preoccupied with other people for too long, even when he listened more to other people's problems than to the silence in his own home. Until now. You have to choose. The words still echoed in his head. Jude let his hand slide across the table. He loved his family more than he sometimes showed, more than he might have said. He thought of Sammy's last words before she left with Mary, her small hand in his, her eyes looking at him so seriously. "Dad, are you going to do good things again tomorrow?" Jude felt his throat tighten. He looked at the empty chair, Sammy's chair. Then he whispered softly in the silent room, "I hope so." The clock ticked on. A car drove past outside, and somewhere, Jude felt that the choice Mary had spoken of was drawing closer than he had ever imagined.